Hello, you're listening to E-Bible Fellowship's new open forum excerpts, and now we present the following excerpt.
Welcome to our open forum program. Please go ahead with your call.
Luke chapter 2, 46 to 47, please.
Luke 2, 46 and 47. And it came to pass that after 3 days, they found him in the temple, sitting in the midst of the doctors, both hearing them and asking them questions. And all that heard him were astonished at his understanding and answers.
Do you think it could have been the reason why they were astonished in his understanding and answers were he was actually leading them to believe that he's actually the Messiah. He's actually the I am. He's Christ. Do you think that might have been possible?
Well, he was, let's see, he was 12 years old. He went up to Jerusalem and he was reasoning with the doctors of the law, hearing them, asking them questions. And he was this young boy, 12 years. And it was Christ, who was always fully God, revealing his person to a degree while still maintaining or keeping, a whole lot of who he was under wraps. It wasn't the time yet. It makes you wonder, why did God pick this? We have the information of Christ's birth, his circumcision, a little bit of information when Joseph, his father, took the family to Egypt, and then this specific incident at age 12. And then next thing we find, it's when Christ is being baptized by John the Baptist in 29 AD. And at that point, he's born in 7 BC, so he's 35 years old upon his baptism. He's baptized by John in the River Jordan. And it's interesting that 35 minus 12 is 23. So there's 23-year period from this incident until the Lord will start his ministry. And I just think that has to be significant, especially as God uses the number 23. I don't know the full purpose behind that. Also, we find since Jesus is 12, from 7 BC to 6 AD would be 13 calendar years, but 12 actual years. And so it could be 6 AD, although it's possible because he was born in the fall. It's very likely he was born around October 1st or 2nd in 7 BC, that it's possible. Well, this is the feast of, was it the Passover that they had gone to? Yeah, it was the Passover. So it's early in the year. And since he's 12 already, then he would not turn 12 until the fall. Would be the Hebrew 7th month, our September, October, when Jesus would have turned 12 in 6 AD. So the Passover would have been earlier in the year in 6 AD. He would have been 11. So it must be, this is 7 AD, and again, 7 BC birth, 7 AD, 14 minus 1, and he would turn 13 in the fall, or in the 7th month, the Hebrew 7th month of the year, 7 AD. But in the Passover, the first month of the Hebrew year, are March, April, he would have been 12. And so he's 12 at the Passover in 7 AD. And we find these interesting numbers. You have 7 plus 7, totaling 14, minus 1, 13. 13. And 13 is a number that identifies with the end of the world. And at the end of the world, God does have a plan that includes a 23-year Great Tribulation period. So from a date wherein Christ is 12, yet it's in, according to actual years, it'll be the 13th year. And even that, 12 and 13, we know that the way the Bible lays it out, the whole history of the world really should be 12,000 years, right? Because 11,000 years from creation to the first coming of Christ, Satan is bound on the cross 1,000 years, and then he's loosed. It should be a total of 12,000 years, but actually the period of his binding, the 1,000 was figurative, and he's bound for 1955, and he's loosed in 1988, the 13,000th year of Earth's history. And we find these same two numbers, 12 and 13, at this point of Christ going into the temple, being about his Father's business, and then proceeds a 23-year period of silence as far as the biblical record is concerned. We don't read anything that Christ was doing. It could relate to that. And then that makes the 3.5-year period of Christ's ministry very interesting. Well, of course, it's always been very interesting, but very interesting in regard to a possible end time judgment day identification. If we're, looking at the 13 years, the 13th year, actual year, and tying it to 13,000, followed by 23, that's 1988 to 2011. In 2011, May 21 was when Judgment Day began. And then Christ begins his ministry. We know he was baptized September 25th in 29 AD. So there could be a tie-in or a link. And we've suspected this, but we've thought, we're looking ahead to 2029 through 2033, which is 2,000 years from the period of the Lord's ministry. But, we have a second 23-year inclusive period with that within it. So it wouldn't be a perfect match, but it certainly is something to, think and pray and consider.
Thanks for watching, and be on the lookout for more new open forum excerpts that will be added periodically.